You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Rise and Thrive Breakfast Show with me, your host, standing in for Precious, Liseli Kanyanga, and my co-host who will be joining us throughout the program, Miriam.
Hi, Liseli.
How are you this morning?
I am blessed.
You had a good night's sleep?
I tried to. And
you
yourself?
Told me to say you didn't sleep at all because you had to wake up so early for this program.
Exactly.
No, I did sleep quite a lot, enough for the night. They say at least a person should be able to sleep for 8 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, which I think I had a good night's sleep.
But you know, when you're working, the 8 hours don't count.
No, that's
sometimes
true.
you
You do
sleep
have a
for
point.
4 hours, sometimes you sleep for 5 hours and 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure our viewers know you from your voice, and they might actually not know you for the face that you are behind our court reporting. You know, I was thinking about you this morning, knowing that we'll be on set together today, and I was thinking, during my times of reporting, I have actually never done any court stories. I've done business, I've done community, I've done politics, I've done you name it. But the only thing that I've never reported on is politics.
Why?
I mean, is court.
Why so?
I don't know. I've just never had interest. Even just the jargon.
Really?
I tried by all means to run away from it because I didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you know, court reporting is one crucial way of reporting. You need to be more careful with the words you use because you're scared of being cited for contempt. But anyway, it's one of the most exciting, you know.
You know, I've come to realize I like reading a lot, and I read a lot from the New York Times. And I've realized that most of the time, these articles that are written, you find the byline has their qualifications as the writer, the journalist of the story. You find that if it's a court reporter, they're actually a lawyer. If you find the person who's reporting on business, they are well vested and grounded. I hope we get to a point like that in this country where, like, for instance, you have an interest in court reporting. So maybe it would be nice for you to actually study law so that, you know, when you're talking about...
Those are my future dreams. You never know.
I know quite a number of journalists in this country talk about ZNBC's Hano Kasam. I'm sure you interact.
Exactly.
I know that he has a degree in law. So it's, you know, when he's talking about certain things,
he's talking from a well-informed point of view.
Even when you're interviewing a person, whether it's politics, you do political science, you know, you give people a run for their money because you know exactly what you're talking about. Anyway, enough of us talking here. Well, we have a jam-packed program for you. Let's get into it by going straight to the morning boost so that, you know, you get fit. You get your bones shaking, you get to where you're supposed to be, especially with, you know, the COVID-19. It's important that you are up on your toes, that you're up on your feet, that you're in perfect health, you're in perfect condition. So do join in as we get to the morning boost.
Good morning and welcome to our morning breakfast, and this is the Morning Boost, and I am your presenter, Isaac Matsa. I am here so that we can be able to do a warm-up exercise together just before you go about your day. All right, as usual, we are going to start with a warm-up. There we go, warm-up. 1 minute warm-up. After that, we'll be able to do some mountain climbers. Just that. For a minute. Let's go. How was your night? Say something so that we know where you're watching us from. If you're watching via Facebook, let's go. By the way, this is what I'm doing. See that? That's the workout all together. You're going to feel your calves actually. You're going to feel your legs. 1 minute warm up. Let's go. And let's change to the warm up. That protein. Go. 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 Down with the warm up. Getting into a wake up now. Let's go. Faster. Faster. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. That's it. Today, we're going to do something different. Let's do this now. Go down. Lay flat. It's a 3-minute workout. Bring in your leg out, in, out, okay? In, out, in, out. That's the workout you're gonna do now. So you come here, go down, body posture like that. Let's go. 1, 2. Let's work on the tummy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the first 10. So I'm gonna do another 10. Let's go. Same thing. Down, straight up, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're doing it correctly, you're going to feel your arms. 10. Okay, so that's 20. I have 2 more sets. Remember, just 5 minutes every morning. That's all you need. Okay, 3rd set. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. You should feel your arms. 4. And the belly. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's my 3rd set. I'm gonna do the 4th one now. So that's gonna be 40. So I'm working on the tummy, also strengthening my arms. Let's go, last 10. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40. So I've worked on my triceps and biceps, burning fat on the arms and the tummy as well. Okay, so the same workout. This time I'm gonna do it faster. Remember, it's a 3-minute workout. Okay, so I'm good. 1 minute now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's cool down. So try that. After you come back home, try to do those workouts. I mean, they're going to work out for you perfectly. So this is very good for you every time you do that. So let's do now a cooling down now. Easy. Easy. You've done the workout already. Easy. Thank you so much. This is Isaac Matsa, and I'm going to see you again. Stay blessed and stay fit. Thank you.
Wow, well, that was exhausting. I don't know about you. When was the last time you actually exercised? Like I was even doing anything.
Don't even talk about that.
When was the last time you exercised?
I don't remember, listen. I don't remember.
Well, I can't even lie. I equally don't remember the last time I exercised. But I do remember the last time I actually exercised. I almost passed out. That's how unfit I am. And that's just how unfit I am. We need to get back in shape. Like I was saying before we went on to watch that clip, that it's important during this pandemic that we keep our bodies in top-notch condition.
And you know, I've noticed that most people don't do that. especially in our communities. They don't do that.
But there was a time when I think that was around April, May. When was the first outbreak, like in Zambia? Around that time, March?
March, yeah,
yes, somewhere there. Remember, we had people jogging in the morning.
Yeah.
We had people gathering against even the COVID regulations themselves. We had a lot of people gathering and jogging. I wonder what happened to that.
I think
it just phased out.
I think it's because of the health guidelines that the local authority had put in place. So they couldn't allow a majority of people to gather at one place. Or
maybe people were just overexcited about it and everything.
That can be the case, but also that contributed to adhering to the COVID-19 measures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think there has been a laxity in people adhering to the guidelines. Yesterday I was in town. I was doing my nails, and people were just coming into the salon without wearing their masks. People were just talking. People were just going about their daily business like nothing is happening.
I'll tell you one thing. People are too relaxed. They think COVID is not real.
At this, okay,
that's what they think.
With the first outbreak, a lot of people were skeptical about COVID being real because most people didn't know anyone that actually had COVID.
Yeah.
But personally, I knew a couple of people that actually died as a result of COVID. And even now, it's worse because it's no longer about statistics.
Yes.
It's about real names. It's about real lives. It's about our relatives.
And people you know.
And people you know.
To you.
People that are close. I have a couple of friends right now who are actually in hospital and are suffering from this disease because it's not even a joke. It's real.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed to note that even on my way home, like after the news, I know it's late, you pass through the streets of Lusaka and you find these bars are open. And I'm thinking, should you have to be policed over your own life?
Exactly.
You want the Lusaka province minister to come and whip you to remind you?
He said he was going to do that.
You know what? I think let him do it. Because, okay, people are adults.
But
why should you have to be
reminded?
reminded?
But again, that's against human rights.
Of course it is. Okay, maybe just to scare them or anything. But you know, we're adults at the end of the day. Should somebody take responsibility over your own life? Should someone come and police you to take care of your own life? I shouldn't beg you to be alive. You should be able to take care of yourself and your households. Because even all those people that go into the bars, that go into these places to gather and whatnot, they come from homes where there are children. They come from homes where they're taking care of the elderly people. For instance, my parents are over 70 years old. And it would be very responsible of me to find myself in such situations. And then you go and visit my parents or go back home and whatnot. It's ridiculous, for lack of a better term. It's really ridiculous.
Very, very. And you know, you would go to the market. Example is Soweto Market, City Market. People are everywhere. No face mask, no what. They're not adhering to the rules. And that is very sad. Looking at the second wave, people are dying almost each and every day. The country is recording. You can't have 14
people dying in a day.
Exactly. You can't have 23 people dying in a day because of COVID. And why? Because people are not adhering to the rules. So I think we should, as a media, we should try by all means to, play a role by informing people. Sensitizing.
This is one. I'm sure people are listening.
Exactly.
I'm sure people are listening.
And we hope that people do get these things serious and, make sure that they take care of themselves to avoid such calamities.
So please, people, you've heard it for yourselves. Let's mask up. Let's wash our hands. Let's use hand sanitizer. It's even become cheap. Well, at this particular moment in time, we're going to open up our phone lines. We'll be having some news items that were quite interesting during the week for you to actually comment on. The number that you are calling us on is going to be 096-867-5273. Again, 096-867-5273. Get your phones, get calling, let's get interactive. For now, let's get into our news items and we'll talk after that.
Ministry of Education. We have what I always refer to as an evidence of experience. What do we mean by this? We are coming from a background where we developed guidelines. between us and the Ministry of Health. And the guidelines were sent to all the schools in Zambia, including colleges of education, which spelled out, the approaches that the teachers and the pupils were supposed to follow during COVID. And we are grateful. We are satisfied that from those guidelines that we provided, we recorded success. No child died. No student died. And it was the same COVID. Yes, it could be another spike, but it's the same COVID. No one died. And for us, we are going to use the same background. We are going to use the same formula to ensure that the environment is conducive to learning and teaching. And so for us, whether it is the third spike or the second spike, we are not very much worried because we have an evidence of experience. Where we are coming back, we recorded success. And we know we are going to achieve the same success even this year. There's nothing strange about this second wave, which should even, make our people get so much, distracted and discouraged. Please have the belief in the education system. Our teachers, our men and women on the ground have done the best. Go to my bus stops. There's no order there. So let us not bring what we are seeing outside to what is prevailing in the schools. In school, we have order, and that order will be maintained. We shall comply with what the Ministry of Health has already provided us, and that is our evidence of experience. So there's no harm. Our parents must not be, anxious of tomorrow. God is in control. The teachers are going to do the best they can for the betterment of the nation. So all is well. All is well. 18th January, we are opening the schools.
On Monday, the 11th of January 2021, Minister of General Education Permanent Secretary Dr. Jobix Kalumba disclosed that the ministry was going to maintain its position and schools will reopen on the 18th of January 2021, despite the country recording more COVID-19 cases in recent weeks. He was on firm ground that the school calendar was not going to be disturbed by the COVID-19.
And we are grateful. We are satisfied that from those guidelines that we provided, we recorded success. No child died. No student died. And it was the same COVID. Yes, it could be another spike, but it's the same COVID. No one died. And for us, we are going to use the same background. We are going to use the same formula. Please have the belief in the education system. Our teachers, our men and women on the ground have done the best. In school, we have order, and that order will be maintained. We shall comply with what the Ministry of Health has already provided us, and that is our evidence of experience. All is well. 18th January, we are opening the schools.
Now, following his announcement, divergent views emerged on the matter. Looking at the prevailing rise in the COVID-19 cases during the second wave of the pandemic, with health authorities warning that the huge gatherings are fueling the rise, hence reopening schools was being discouraged by some stakeholders. Today, 6 teachers' unions held a press briefing on Friday in which they expressed concern on the preparedness of the Ministry of General Education ahead of the reopening of schools on Monday, the 18th of January 2021, amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Representing the 6 teachers' union, the Secondary School Teachers Union of Zambia, SISTU's General Secretary proposed that the ministry consider reopening schools on the 1st of February 2021 so as to allow schools and parents to adequately prepare.
Issues to do with the vaccines are not matters of the Ministry of Education, and they are not matters of the teacher unions. We call upon government and the Ministry of Education and all the stakeholders that work with the Ministry of Education to consider putting in place the measures that we've categorically stated as guided by the Ministry of Health before schools open. I also want to allude to the fact that we strongly feel as GS said, that the opening of schools be extended to 1st February, because there's nothing that we are seeing on the ground. If we did see these things on the ground, we are not going to shy away to state that schools reopen.
An hour after the appeal, the head of state, President Edgar Lungu, responded to their call and directed that all schools reopen on the 1st of February, rendering Dr. Kalumba's stance irrelevant. President Edgar Lungu has also directed the Ministry of General Education and Higher Education, in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and local government, to be on top of things and ensure that all schools are ready for opening on the 1st of February 2021. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite an interesting turn of events there, where you have one person saying one thing and you have another person saying another thing.
And you know, it shows. Anyway, I'll keep that word.
I think we have all been able to place a word in what you wanted to say.
Exactly.
No, it's quite unfortunate, especially that coming from a person holding such a position,
yes,
you tend to take whatever it is that they say as gospel truth. And you know, parents were eager to hear what government was intending to do concerning whether or not schools were going to be reopened. But I guess that has been settled, because the man at the helm of everything came out and actually made mention to say that schools are actually going to open on the 1st of February. Well, what are your comments concerning this? And even when 1st February actually does come, do you feel safe as a parent to take your child to school? Let's hear your views. Do we have any callers? You're calling us on 0968675273. Let's get interactive. Let's hear your comments. Are you willing to take your children to school on the 1st of February, considering that each and every day the number of positive cases are increasing, the number of deaths are increasing, everything is just chaotic.
And you know, the sad point, on a sad note, it's that the first time we recorded this second wave of the pandemic, we have always been recording cases going to 1,000. No, we haven't recorded any less cases. It's every 1,000, and then every day we record people dying. That's sad.
No, it
and
is
people
very
should
sad.
understand that COVID-19, it's a chain. So you find people from Soweto, they go home, you know how many people you interact with. It's a chain, it's a process. And even as we open schools, that's one thing that even teachers should put in mind. And put in more serious measures to avoid that, because children are coming from home.
Exactly. I found quite interesting one of the statements that the PS mentioned, to say you look at the bus stops, it's quite chaotic, and at schools we have order. But one thing that he didn't put into consideration is the fact that those same people that are found at the bus stops where it's chaotic are the same parents of the children who are going to school where there's order. So like you have rightly put it, it's a chain, and it's real. We need to take precautions. We have a caller on the line. Let's get interactive. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, through to the Rise and Thrive Breakfast Show. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Frida from Calgary.
Great. Your comment, please.
Okay. Of course, COVID has come to stay, but looking at the education, like in schools, I think the government intends to forget their purpose. You'll find that there is no hope. You just run out of everything that you have to use, like to sanitize or to keep the learners safe, to keep the teachers safe. And you find that, like you go when it's primary, the lower, you know, the learners don't pay. So you find that there is no money in school. And you have a lot of learners. You don't even know how to schedule them. So I don't really know. Those schools have to open, it's a must, but the government should also, like, they should not just be showing those schools that everything is in place. They should also go in back schools there, in the villages, there, schools, and show what's in those schools. You find that there's nothing, not even soap. There's just mere water, you know. But when it comes on television, they will give us a show of better schools, they are sanitizing, and which is not the case in other schools.
We get you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Frida.
Okay, thank you.
She's raised quite valid points there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, talking about water, not going very far in villages or what, but just looking at a nearby area here in Kalingalinga, I think these people have had challenges of water challenges for quite some time. And with this pandemic, this is a serious concern that Lusaka Water should look into so that people are well served. You see, it's a concern that people have continued crying each and every day, but you know,
now you can imagine if in urban areas where Kalingalinga is situated, a stone's throw from here, you find that there are such challenges. You can imagine how the situation looks like when you go vast into the rural areas.
Exactly.
Frida mentioned, raised quite valid points there. And I think that's where we come in as the media, to get to those places and really show the people what exactly is happening. So that if other people have means to donate to such schools, because you find that a person doesn't even have a tablet of soap at home where they're coming from. What makes you think that they will have...
Not even a face mask.
You see? What makes you think that they'll find it at school? And most of these schools in rural areas, some of them are actually community schools. So you don't think that you find certain facilities put in place. And then the thing is that COVID has spread widely. It's not about urban areas anymore. Even in the rural areas, numbers are being recorded. So we need really to take into consideration a whole lot of issues. Do we have any other callers? The number that you are calling us on is 0968 675273. Let's get to hear your contributions concerning the same reopening of schools, which is scheduled for the 1st of February. As a guardian, as a parent, as a caretaker, whatever name it is that you call yourself, as long as you have children under your custody, and even you at tertiary level, are you comfortable going back to school on the 1st of February amidst the COVID-19 pandemic? Miriam, are you taking precautions yourself?
I am doing that.
Have you actually been swabbed before?
Listen,
you know, yesterday.
Have you yourself?
Yes,
before I answered that question?
I have, and it's
how was it?
It's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. Well, yesterday, like I mentioned, I had gone to the salon, and it was alarming to hear, you know, certain views of people. A person told me to say they are scared, and even they were representing the views of their community where they're coming from. They were saying, in fact, people are shunning away. Even when they get the symptoms, people are shunning away from the hospital because they are avoiding to be tested, because apparently it's very, very painful.
Have they tried it?
No, but word on the ground. But I can assure you, it's not painful. It's just very, okay, let me not say very, it's uncomfortable. Of course, if you're going to have something stuck through your nose, it's going to, you don't expect it to be comfortable.
But I haven't showed any symptoms, but I think I'll just
it's important because for the sake of just being safe,
my health,
sure, it's
and
important.
That,
you know, it's free of charge unless you want to go to a private hospital. But you know, government has put in place measures.
You know, I think, you know, having those thoughts that people are saying it's very painful and they're shunning away despite showing symptoms, it's quite sad.
It is, and that is the word
now
on the ground.
Imagine if they have COVID and then they're shunning away from going to test.
People are locking themselves up in these communities. People are locking themselves up in the house. If they even know to say, okay, fine, the symptoms that we are having as a family, this is definitely COVID. People are locking themselves up and they're staying indoors in those houses just for fear of going to the hospital, being swabbed, and fear of being held in those facilities. But one thing that they don't realize is that they are putting everybody else's life. The Lozi accent just has a way of
I get you.
in.
I get you.
It doesn't matter how much schooling, it just has a way of coming in. Anyway, I'm very proud to be Lozi.
I get you.
Yes. So, people really need to take precautions. Do we have any callers? The number that you are calling us on is 0968 675273. What is your comment? Are you comfortable taking your children to school amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, which has come at a point where we thought it had gone? Like, for instance,
it
came with a bang. It came with a bang. Everybody was excited. Oh no, 2021 is going to be my year. 2020 was horrible. Anyway, 2020 got the most of us. But anyway, God is faithful. We've gotten into 2021, and either way, it's still going to be a great year.
Despite we
COVID.
Pray that it be a good year.
Yeah,
and having going toward the pause in August, we pray that we maintain the peace so that we have non-political violence. And despite having the COVID, that's one thing we should look into as well.
Yes. With that being said, we take a break, and right after we'll be having our guest, and we will be talking about mental health, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. It's very important that you take care not only of your physical body but also of your mental health. Well, before we go on a break, we have a caller. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. We are good. How are you?
I'm good.
That's great to hear. Your contribution, your name and where you're calling us from first.
Could you? Can you get him?
No, I can hardly hear you. Kindly turn off the volume on your TV so that we avoid feedback, so that we can clearly hear you.
You're calling us from where?
Go ahead with your contribution.
Maybe 1 year bedroom. How?
Well, the line is bad. Do we have anyone else calling? Well, we take a break, and right after we get into our next segment where we will be talking about mental health.
"2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, Watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on GoTV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
You're watching the Rise and Thrive Breakfast Show right here on Camnet TV, not just another channel. Remember earlier, before we went for a break, that is, I had mentioned to you that we have a guest in the studio and we will be talking about mental health during this COVID-19 pandemic. Our guest is Mr. Luyando Hamwendo, and he is well vested in issues to do with mental health. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Fine. How are you?
I am well, thank you. And I'll answer on behalf of Miriam. She's very fit.
I am here. I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yes, quite a lot has been happening in the country, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. We have had a lot of issues that have been highlighted as a result of this. This has actually just brought out the things that are already in society, things to do with suicide, things to do with an upscale in domestic violence, things to do with stress and all these things that have very strenuous on the body and whatnot. How can a person take care of themselves?
Okay, obviously with this second wave of coronavirus or COVID-19 that we have, we're likely to see a surge in the number of mental related health problems, in that there is a huge connection between the body and the mind. So mostly those who are at risk of having mental illnesses during this period are those who are in this category that are called the risky group. So those of a certain age, 65 and above, who are more likely to contract coronavirus and the effects being terminal. Then we also have teens. Obviously, because they're not going to school, they're not interacting with their friends. For those who work in rehab companies or rehab facilities, and also facilities such as Chinama, they'll agree to say that there is an increase in the number of substance-related misuse disorders. By that I mean kids now abusing marijuana, abusing things such as volo in our local language, which is heroin, and other drugs. Then the measures themselves, for example, social distancing, a term that I don't like. I prefer physical distancing, because if it's social, it means that we're not socially connecting.
I get you.
But social distancing in itself, we see that people will feel very lonely in that they won't be able to interact with those that usually interact with. So what should one do in this period is the question. I think we need to take a break, obviously, from reading information on social media, because there is something that is called hypochondriasis in psychiatry. It means when you read something, then your condition becomes worse because of what you've read. I'm sure during the start of the pandemic, the times that you thought you also had corona.
Of course.
Because of reading.
We've all gotten the symptoms.
Exactly, you always have that in mind.
Okay, yeah, so the information on it in itself, the one that we find on the internet, which is mostly not written by professionals, and sometimes on news, it can be very depressing. So sometimes it's just good to take a break, because obviously you know everything that you should know. You know that you should socially distance, you know that you should wash your hands, you know that you should put on a mask, and so on and so forth. Then it's also important that you know what to do when you have the symptoms. What should you do? It's also important that you know who to call. I know that there is a line that we should call as Zambians if you feel you have the symptoms, and they can come and pick you up from home, or maybe do a rapid test on you. Then the other thing is that we should follow the guidelines that have been prescribed by our institutions. When you follow them, at least the anxiety and the fear won't be there very much, simply because you know that you're following this. Then, in as much as we might not be interacting with friends, we might not go for social events, but we live in a technological world, so just try to call someone. Let's utilize video calls now, and let's exercise as much as possible. Though people really shunned this. The time we had the corona starting somewhere in March, at 5 you'd see a lot of people jogging, which is very good. So let's continue with that, and just maybe take a few prophylactic medications that we can use, vitamin C, lemons, and that in itself can help us just reduce the fear and the anxiety that we might have as a result of this pandemic.
Yeah, do you think we have as a country enough facilities? Because each and every time that somebody is going to mention anything to do with mental health, the first thing that they run to is Chainama.
Okay, we have as a country now. I always say that mental health is being decentralized in various places. So if you're scared of a stigma coming to Chainama, you can obviously go to a lot of other places. Any clinic now has psychosocial counselors who can just counsel you. It's not every time that you need medication, so sometimes you just need to talk to someone. So you can go to these facilities, or even just go to Clinic 6 at UTH. And then we have some private facilities such as Great North Rehab Center, and there are rehab centers that can that also provide facilities that are found or services that are found at Chainama. So we have as a country.
But do you think enough is being done to address mental health issues? Because I know mental health doesn't mean that someone is initially mad or what.
Yeah.
Are we doing enough to address that? Because we have seen people killing themselves, killing their spouses.
Yeah.
That has to do with mental health again.
Obviously, there is a start to everything, and over the last 5 years, there's been a lot of talk in regards to mental health. Just some 3 weeks ago, there was a men's conference on mental health organized by Abel Chungu, and I've seen some other doctors, such as Dr. Dala from UTH, being a pioneer of such. He's been seen on different platforms. And also what you have as Camnet, I've been invited several times here to come and talk about mental health. So we may not see what we want to see now, but probably in the next 5 years is something that will be talked about as often as we talk about certain general medical conditions such as HIV and AIDS. So obviously there is a start, and I'd like to believe that this has been the start. The last 2 years, we've seen a lot of talk about mental health.
You see, I've actually learned something from you today. I had no idea that I can go to a clinic, perhaps if I'm feeling depressed, because most people who are depressed don't even know that they're depressed. Most people are in denial about, their state of mind. I didn't know you can go to a clinic and find such services. And
most people who are stressed, they turn out, to have comfort in alcohol and abuse it.
Yes, and that's why I was saying that we're likely to see an increase of this, because in as much there is a common saying, a problem shared is a problem solved.
Exactly.
So when you go for work and you just talk to your workmates about the problem that you're having, you feel better and relieved. But in instances such as this one, where we have these regulations, you're home, so the only thing that you resort to is alcohol, because alcohol in itself will make you feel better for a moment, but it will just worsen the depression. Actually, alcohol has been shown to cause depression. Alcohol and some other substances, narcotics such as marijuana, tobacco, those cause depression. So in as much as they might offer temporal relief, but they actually worsen the condition, so it's not advisable.
Do we have facilities other than, I know you mentioned Chainama, I know you mentioned all these things that have put in place, but do we have like firms, like the way law firms are, where you can actually access, where somebody has set up a business per se, where people pay for these services just to go for counseling, not YWCA and things like that, where people actually make a business out of it? Because I think for the people that are business minded, you can capitalize on this, knowing that there's so much going on, and people are in need of people to talk to. Even the church, I think the church also needs to come on board, and I know they have been doing this from time immemorial, but people need to upscale, because a lot is going on, and I think maybe because we have the tools to actually see and interact and be able to see that, okay, fine, a person has killed a person in in Chipata or whatever. These things have been happening before. It's just that they have been brought to light because we have the capacity to
report them.
Yes, to hear about them. Well, we have a caller on the line. Good morning. You are through to the Rise and Thrive Breakfast Show. Your name and where you're calling us from? Hello, good morning.
Yes, morning.
Yes, your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is
Your name is? Please go ahead with your contribution. There seems to be a problem with our network here. Please try again, feel free. The number that you are calling us on is 096-867-5273. Let us hear from you. What are your comments concerning what we are talking about, mental health? Mr. Luyando actually highlighted quite interesting, which I think I'm going to take precautions myself. I'll stop searching for information about COVID.
Yes.
I think I know enough. We know enough. We know exactly what to do to prevent COVID. I will make use of technology. Because of course I miss my friends, I miss my family. It's not, I can't, gone are the days where you can just drop by at somebody's house. You don't know, maybe they're in quarantine. The world has really changed.
Yes.
We need to adjust to the new normal and take precautions and take care of ourselves. Miriam, any last words for Mr. Luyando?
Anyway, Mr. Luyando, maybe you can just advise our viewers on how best they can, stay very comfortable in this situation that we're going through currently at the moment as a country, the challenges that we're going through, and how best they can just, not stress and, live life.
Yeah, we are not putting our lives on standby.
Because most people think that their lives have been put on hold because of the COVID thing and what. Yeah, maybe just to highlight and tell people that, anyway, this is not the end of the life. We still have more years to live. Exactly.
So obviously everything comes to an end. So even with this pandemic, it will obviously come to an end. Then let's just follow with what these institutions such as Ministry of Health, the guidelines that they've put for us, and we'll be able to just stop the rise in this pandemic. Then it's not up to you and me to diagnose someone with a mental illness. So even if you have a friend presenting with signs and symptoms of depression, it's not up to you to say you're depressed. It's better you ask someone to go to a facility where they would meet professionals and they would have the help that they need. Then if it seems too much to come to facilities such as Chainama, and maybe these facilities are expensive, we can also make use of pastoral counseling. I always talk about this because our pastors are trained in counseling. So these are people who can help us with different problems that we have. Then, as always, let's stop the stigma. Mental illness is a disease such as HIV and then malaria. People do not choose to have the mental illnesses that they have. Then let's just help each other. Let's create support groups, and when we create support groups amongst each other, it could be you're calling, you have a group on WhatsApp and you're chatting as friends or as family members. We'll be able to see a reduction in these mental illnesses.
Well, Mr. Luyando, thank you so much for making time to be with us on the Rise and Thrive Breakfast Show.
Thank you for having me.
We hope to have you and dig into your vast knowledge concerning mental health as the days come. Well, at this particular moment in time, we take another break, but we have a whole lot lined up for you. So just sit back tight, relax. See you on the other side.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television for non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage. Zambia needs Camnet television for national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia. Watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
And bananas. Work and wait, and this what you've been praying for.
If you're just joining us, you're through to the Rise and Thrive breakfast show right here on Camnet TV, not just another channel. I am not alone in the studio. I am with my co-host, Madam Miriam, the court report. I always used to wonder, I know I mentioned earlier, I always used to wonder when I'm reading the scripts for news and I'm going through, and you would always write to say at court. So, I would always get confused to say, why is it like this? Isn't it supposed to be the court? But I noticed you would always say court. So I realized later on to say, no, this is actually the language, of the court. Anyway, with that aside, like I mentioned earlier, we have quite a lot lined up for you. The number that you are getting us on is 0968675273. Let's get interactive. But for now, we get into another news piece in
before we even go to the other news piece that we want to show our viewers, Dr. Luyando spoke about spoke about the increase in the number of juvenile offenders abusing marijuana. I think we at court, these are cases that we have continued recording daily, and it's worrying. It's worrisome.
It is.
You find kids who are 15, 14, they're being dragged to court for these offenses. And then you get to wonder, are we doing enough as parents to, educate our children?
In what capacity again?
As the court reporter.
I found it interesting when you said, are we doing enough as parents? And I'm like, Miriam.
I'm not a parent yet.
No, I get you. I totally get you. You are very much in order to make such a statement, which highlights one of the issues that Judge Chawatama brought about. I remember reading a news piece, and she mentioned to say there has been an upscale in the number of juveniles that are finding themselves in very compromising situations to do with the law.
Just yesterday, the magistrate court had committed a 19-year-old man and a 23 to the High Court for aggravated robbery and murder. Wow. You get to wonder, these are young people in society who can, do much better, complete their schools, you know, and contribute.
And aggravated robbery is a grave crime in this country, an
unbailable offense.
And talk about
and it's an offense which you can get like 15 years imprisonment. It's a very quite serious offense.
And at 19, 23. I remember when I was 19. I remember when I was 23. Those were far from my mind.
Exactly.
But you know, it has to do with a lot of other things. There's poverty at play.
There's poverty.
There's COVID at play.
And peer pressure is one thing that we should also talk about it.
And things like that. Exactly. Well, I know we can go on and on and on and on and on and talk about a lot of other things. But for now, we get into our news piece. And please feel free to call us on the number 0968675273. Let's get interactive. But for now, we get into our news piece.
Series of rains in Lusaka has led to flash floods, destroying property and affecting livelihoods. Most areas are receiving above average rainfall. Floods are made more likely by the more extreme weather patterns caused by long-term global climate change. The change in land cover, such as removal of vegetation and climate change, increase flood risk. Meanwhile, one of the Lusaka famous slums, John Lane Compound, has not been spared from flash floods. Next to this stagnant water is a shallow well, which is a source of water for many families around this compound. One can only imagine the health risks associated with this. Accessing homes and toilets has become a nightmare for some families. The situation is worse for children. Poor sanitation and water contamination remains a source of concern. John Lane is known to be a locky area, thus making it difficult to construct a good drainage system. I spoke to one of the affected residents, Frank Mugo.
Manzi yakumwa abantu sibakumwa manzi apakumatechi bakumwa manzi akumawells kulibe manzi akumatawo tansuarechi then cholera ma disease bantu kuyenda kuma toilet. You can see the toilet ero ma toilet yaso ero bana bangono kuyenda kumanyumba kuma toilet bakagora manzi akufu.
Mr. Mubu is calling on the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit to come to their aid.
The problem I've found here, there's a problem no any help in these constraints, and it could be help. Councillors are nowhere to be seen, so we need a help. We need a help. The government, but tanze kwa pumping kwa vimanzi.
Tanza kwa chena motiyo chitakavo kuzuza chani. Veninga tini health wise ni Mungu chapi. Ni Mungu chapi kuti survive ko. Timanyelera kukara na measures but imanzi baka ina sivili ni.
The 2020-2021 rainy season has presented a number of challenges in various compounds of Lusaka. John Lane is no exception. But what can be done in order to put this issue to rest? Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You know what? This story broke my heart.
It's a quite sad story, indeed.
Broke my heart completely.
Looking at the situation that people are in currently with the COVID-19 pandemic and the garbage surrounding, and people have no option but to step in those water. It's quite sad.
It's sad, especially, you know, in life we tend to take advantage of the simple privileges that we have. The fact that you can wake up and put your leg on dry ground. For others, that's a privilege that they never get to see during this period. But you know, one thing is that this is not a new situation. This is not something that is new to this country. This has been going on for years.
For years, yes.
There are certain areas that are, let's say, maybe swampy areas that are just prone each and every year. And there's never a solution. And that's what gets to me. That's what ticks me off. Is that each and every year, it's the same story. Even next year,
it will be the same story.
And you know, it's rainy season, and then now we'll have outbreaks of waterborne diseases like cholera, and then now we start having centers at Hero Stadium. We start having centers. And then these things are avoidable.
Exactly.
We need to reach a point as a country where we actually get past certain things, and even. I know it can never go completely. Even Jesus said that the poor we shall always have. It will never completely go away, but at least let us see a difference.
On how best we can handle this situation.
Let's see a difference. For instance, in that area, next year, let's see a different story. If it means making drainages, doing whatever that needs to be done in order to have this situation be put to bed, then let it be put to bed. Let's have resources that are put in place specifically to do with these issues. It shouldn't always be DMMU coming in when there's a disaster, because that's a disaster.
That's a disaster already, yeah.
That's a disaster already, and we need to get over it. Well, let's get interactive. What's your opinion concerning the news piece that we actually just watched? You're getting through to us on 0968 675273. 0968675273. Let's get interactive. Do we have any callers on the line? You know, as a journalist, it's so obvious what story you can cover. When it starts raining, you even know
floods.
John Lane,
Mississippi,
Kanyama. You even know the places.
Especially these three areas.
Yes, and it's really bad.
And you know, and John Lang is quite west, huh?
And now when you get to, at least the water settles. When you get to places like Hybrid, Zafmes, somewhere there, the water situation is bad when it rains. It's really bad. For people with low vehicles, for people who don't have cars, unless you are moving in a Land Cruiser, and not everybody owns a Land Cruiser, the situation is horrible. The situation is really bad. And you know, with this COVID and everything, we need to put in place measures. These things should be history.
And you know, it's something that I feel government, the relevant authority should, you know, because they have seen this. Every year we always experience such situation. They should come up with measures to avoid this in future. So like right now, they have seen this is it's a yearly situation that John Lang misses compound. We talk about floods. So we would love to see government by next year, by the grace of God, if they can, you know, improve the situation in one way or another. I remember talking to the area councillor for the area MP for Kanyama, Madam Elizabeth Piri. She mentioned something. She said, you know, as a councillor, there's nothing I can do because the way houses are built, there is no space on how best we can do drainages for the residents there. So now you get to think, but what other plan B? Yes,
who in the first place gave those people those land titles to be able to build? Anyway, I do understand the fact that it's a multi-sectorial approach in the sense that it has to do with Ministry of Lands, it has to do with Ministry of Health, it has to do with the local authority. It has so many aspects to it, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's a problem that doesn't have a solution.
Exactly.
And the solution is what we want. We have technocrats that are well vested with the knowledge to be able to guide and
on how best the situation can be addressed.
It can be addressed. But I think it also has a lot to do with resources. Resources may be there, resources may not be there, but it also has a lot to do with political will, because at the end of the day...
But again, it's about planning.
Yes.
It's about planning. I think if we play our cards very well, I think we are able to, you know, fight this, to address the situation.
And also we can't entirely blame government or the relevant authorities. Look at, where did that garbage come from? I don't think...
I saw the garbage there and I say, okay, residents are also to blame.
Exactly.
And again, when you interview them, they'll tell you, council is not coming to collect the cabbages. Where do you expect us to? So it's a blame. Yeah, it's a blame game. So, but then you get to wonder and sit down, but how best can we address this? Because we can't go on and on blaming each other. We need to sit down together and address.
Find a solution.
Exactly.
Well, the number that you are getting us on is 0968675273. Let's get into our next piece, which is from where, Miriam?
Bowlen Compound.
Let's have a look at that.
Has emerged as one of the greatest challenge facing the city of Lusaka. Available data shows that Lusaka generates about 1 million tons of waste annually, equivalent to about 2,700 tons per day. But only half of this is taken to the designated dump site. Indiscriminate waste disposal is the order of the day in most communities. Bowlen Compound in Lusaka Central is one such area with difficulties in disposing waste. The community has been using this illegal dump site, which is closer to people's homes, thus posing healthy risks to many residents. However, this will be a thing of the past following the intervention of Area Member of Parliament Margaret Mwanakatwe, who fulfilled her commitment to facilitate the collection of waste to prevent diseases such as cholera and uphold good sanitation.
And weighing waste. So when waste comes here, it is separated, it is weighed. And if you brought plastic bottles, you'll be paid for that right there. Okay, that's what, and it's bailing as well. Okay, there's a bailing spot. So that's what that's doing, and that's meant to clear all this rubbish, and that rubbish from there, and rubbish from Mulundu. So we're trying to clean up. In cleaning up, we're trying to find a long-term solution to clean up. Hence, the setting up of this center, and this is the man.
Lusaka City Council manager in charge of waste and pest control, Kachikoti Banda, says the council has put in place sustainable measures to manage garbage in the city.
We have an ambitious plan to separate and divert waste from Chunga landfill to recycling plants in a bid to protect public health, prevent disease, and promote health in Lusaka and particularly Bowlen. So, if you can see, we have the storage containers and buyback center there, where people can bring their waste, separated waste, and it's weighed and they're paid something. They go buy the bread. And if we upscale this, all this will be mopped up because we have the technology here in Osaka where products are made out of this recycled plastic, paper, and the like. So we're resuscitating our buyback center in Berlin with support from Honorable MP and of course LCC's on strategic plan and the Solid Waste Improvement Plan 2020-2024.
The residents of Bauleni have expressed gratitude for the gesture.
This is a gesture that we really want to appreciate. As you have seen, these mountains of garbage, they have got very serious health repercussions on the area. And so with this cleanup, we are really sensing a sigh of relief because this we will be able to improve on the sanitary and the cleanliness conditions of Bowlen Township and the surrounding areas. More importantly, I want to appeal to the residents, the members of the community themselves, to shift in their mindset, and they have an attitude of cleanness, because at the end of the day, cleanness is a personal responsibility.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Quite an interesting news piece there. All that garbage, nowhere to go.
But we are glad the MP came to the aid of the residents there. And just shifted all the garbage.
But where was she when all that garbage was piling up to start with?
Exactly.
Well, let's not get into that. Well, these are the things that are found in our communities. Previously, we had a news piece on the flooding, which is a very sad situation. Even this garbage itself is a sad situation. And if you get into most of these communities, especially
but did you notice
compounds,
on the report, I saw children, playing on the garbage.
Yes, I did, and it's heartbreaking. Exactly. It's heartbreaking, especially when you contrast, you look at this other section of society, and then you look at these other people, and you know that they deserve better. So there's a huge gap in between those two people. And it's really sad. Because you can imagine what that child is, the bacteria that they are going to live at that place.
And then they get in contact with their friends, maybe they share food without washing their hands, and they're not even wearing a mask, all those kind of things.
Yeah, no, it's a really sad situation.
Very sad.
Very sad indeed. Well, on that note, I think we've had a lovely show. I have learned quite a lot. Like I mentioned when we had our mental health expert here, and he was talking about mental health during this COVID-19 pandemic and what we should do in order to protect ourselves. He mentioned things to do with toning it down on seeking information about COVID-19, reading unverified articles. I know Facebook and these other social media platforms.
But people have been doing a lot about that when it comes to reading unverified articles. I've been doing that.
But it really messes up with you.
And then I think that's where the fear now comes in.
Exactly.
People don't want to go for testing and stuff like that.
Yes, because if I'll read, someone is going to say, no, the swab is very painful.
Very painful.
Because this information that people, that is in the community, it's coming from all these things that they're reading about. So please, if you have symptoms, if you're possessing any symptoms of COVID-19, let's get to the clinic, let's go to the right places, call the numbers, let's do the right thing. The information is already out there and we are already much aware of it. Social distance, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, do whatever it means, do whatever is needed to be done in order to protect yourself against COVID-19. Well, this has been the Rise and Thrive breakfast show.
Exactly, Liseli. And it's sad that we're coming to an end. We have a lot to talk about.
Oh, indeed.
But time cannot allow us.
Indeed, time has not allowed us to go on and on. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you so much for making time. I know you are busy, but you have made time to be with us on the Rise and Thrive breakfast show. On behalf of Miriam and myself, it's God bless.
Sure. Bye-bye.